Thank you very much. That was very, very interesting. We're a little behind schedule now, so we're just going to go ahead. And the next segment is advanced horsemanship, a word we started using when we got pushback from the phrase continuing education. But I think I've been so happy in the last 2 days to see how many people stepped up for continuing education and how much better it's being accepted. We've been dealing with this for some time. We've had a number of frustrations. 2 years ago, I was so excited to see what Indiana was doing with their mandatory continuing education, and I just assumed that other states would just pick it up, but they haven't. New York has been helpful. California has been in the leadership role, and we are still hoping to get continuing education accepted, and I was so happy to hear the comments of Gary Contessa this morning. Anyway, our first presenter is Cathy O'Mara. She's a very remarkable young lady. She's a coordinator with the Jockey Club Industry Initiatives, and she and Jamie Hayden have been real mainstays in creating and planning this Welfare and Safety of the Racehorse Summit. She also is works for the racing officials. She's the head of the Racing Officials Accreditation Program, and a couple of weeks ago she took time out to have a baby. Cathy O'Mara.
Thank you, Ed. Thanks to everyone attending and those who've watched the past few days. And also thanks to the panelists this morning. I know Ed just mentioned Gary Contessa, but both Contessa and Clifford Berry both made reference to the importance of our education, even calling it an obligation. Education is definitely not a hot topic. We know that. No one typically likes to stay around and listen to educational things. But it tends to be pushed aside by current events that might be warranted by quick actions and things that need to, I guess, get a more pressing matters at hand than education. But the reality is that education is at the heart of where meaningful change can take place in our industry. It takes time to educate an entire workforce, we know that. But that education is necessary for the monumental changes to take place. Getting an educational programming into the hands that can use it is vital. Dr. Scalay said yesterday that trainer proficiency will need to increase as these new medication regulations go into place. We heard from Dr. Reed McClellan talking about the importance of our grooms' education and their knowledge. And Dr. Bramlidge's piece on bone remodeling was eye-opening, and everything we've heard this morning as well. However, it is absolutely useless unless that information is getting to those who need to hear it. At the 2006, that is 2006, and we are in 2014, just want to make that clear. We had the first WSS, or the Welfare Safety Summit, and the critical issues were determined that we needed to educate our workforce. In point there, as you see, the need for continuing education for those who actually work with the horses, our lack of education and consistency and with our standardizations, and our decline in horsemanship. So the Education Committee of the WSS began to meet after the summit and determined the best way for that approach was a top-down method. So the first step was to evaluate our initial testing programs, and in particular the trainer, because they are the ones who are insured with the care, custody, and control of our horses. And due to the wide variance of trainers' exams at the time, the committee determined that we should do the testing first, look at that, and then look to continuing education. So in early 2008, the National Uniform Trainers Test was developed and is currently being utilized now by 17 racing jurisdictions. And also at that summit, the Education Committee continued their recommendations to improve the horse handling of frontline employees by developing continuing education for our trainers. There was still pushback in the industry, and many asked, well, why do we need trainer CE? Here's a slide that just shows some of the continuing education requirements. The first two are within our industry, our vets and our stewards. But then I just threw some others for Kentucky. I just Googled nurse, massage therapist, athletic trainer, nail technicians. So there's many other industries that are requiring continuing education programs So the question is, why aren't we? The industry has a plethora of information and materials that never seems to reach those who could benefit it the most. Take the summit, for example. I applaud all of you for your attendance today and all of those who are tuning in online today. But again, we must get this information out to those who are actually working with our horses. The logical way to get this safety information out, the emerging trends or rule changes, and pretty much any other educational materials, is through a dedicated online continuing education program. At the August 2008 RCI Model Rules meeting, a model rule was approved for 4 hours of continuing education for our trainers to begin in 2010. By the start of 2010, South Dakota was the only state that had passed that regulation. Many had claimed that the lack of materials and the logistics of tracking a CE made it difficult to require educational programming tied to licensure. Since that time, the state of Washington has begun voluntary educational programming through the local HVPA. Indiana has passed a rule that requires CE for trainers with a minimum start requirement, and Colorado also has the rules on the books. And additionally, the California Horse Racing Board has contributed numerous resources in the development of online courses, which were showcased here at the 2012 Welfare Summit. And the NTRA, through the Safety and Integrity Alliance, has also provided educational forums which have been open to all industry participants. But even with these efforts, the push for a national continuing education program has all but stalled. A survey given by the National HVPA by their membership, or to their membership in 2013 showed that 87% of their responders were in favor of a continuing education program, and that 79% preferred the online program method. With this knowledge, the WSS committee began looking at avenues to make online continuing education a reality in our industry. As Ed mentioned, I also coordinate the Racing Officials Accreditation Program, and we have been successful in providing a basic online continuing education program to our stewards, judges, and other officials. So it made sense for the WSS committee to begin looking at a similar format for the online education. So the main requirements needed for a quality CE program, which also happens to be the main concern voiced by our industry, is the content and the tracking of that information. We've repeatedly heard during the summit the importance of the data in driving our safety and planning. The dissemination of that data is imperative to our industry. The Jockey Club and the North American Racing Academy, or NARRA, which is housed and accredited through the Bluegrass Community and Technical College, are working together to develop that educational content. NARRA educators will be able to assist with putting together the content of many of these presentations and programming that we already have within the industry, in addition to providing new content. These programs range from basic horse health, veterinary medication issues, business practices such as immigration and taxation laws, and emerging trends, and of course, all of the things that you've heard here at these summits. The planned program with NARRA will aim to create an easy online tracking mechanism for racing jurisdictions to use. For example, an individual will be prompted after completing one of these online courses to put in some information that would then be automatically sent to the jurisdiction that is requesting the information. So by joining forces with an accredited college, the courses should be professional, educational, and trackable, not only for trainers, but it will be available for anyone in the industry willing and interested in learning more. It is our intent to offer this programming free to our industry by providing continuing education for trainers, utilizing the workforce education, such as the Groom Elite programs, and raising the licensing standards. We will be able to effectively raise the level of horsemanship and awareness of the safety and welfare of our racehorses. We have high hopes that this program and its ability to be easily used by the racing jurisdictions. We look forward to working with the racing jurisdictions in the coming months to make this program a critical part of our licensing and available to our industry as a whole. Thank you.
Before we move on to the next scheduled speaker, Renee Belloc of the Bluegrass Technical College would like to make some brief remarks.
Just wanted to very quickly say a very important thank you. As some of you may or may not know, our wonderful leader over the last, 8 years, Chris McCarron, is going to be retiring. So I'd like to have Chris stand up, and I'd like to personally thank him for all the work he's done. Yes, oh yeah, he is standing up. And give him a nice round of applause. Chris, we appreciate everything you've done, and he's been a critical part of our success, and I think the racing industry is better for it.
Thank you, Remy, and thank you, Chris. And I'd like to introduce Dixie Hayes, who is the academic coordinator and instructor for the North American Racing Academy, and she will be discussing the exciting program that Cathy just made a reference to. Dixie?
Well, good afternoon. Thank you very much to the Jockey Club for allowing me the opportunity to speak today about NARRA, and as well as Keeneland for giving us the opportunity to continue to host this event here. I think it's wonderful to see their support in our education. So I'm here today to talk about the North American Racing Academy and what we've done, where we're going, what we're looking for. NARRA has been founded by our one and only Chris McCarron in 2006, and for a long time we were considered just a jockey school. Now, the jockey program is still a large part of our program. It's a very integral and very unique component to the North American Racing Academy. But what you'll see is that we offer 2-year associate's degree in equine studies that have focus areas in jockey, horseman, and soon we look to add a business component to that. We also offer 1-year certificates as well as a 1-semester certificate. Those include things such as our exercise rider certificate, our equine industry workforce certificate, and our veterinary assistant certificate. Now, our equine industry workforce certificate is very unique in the fact that it can be taken entirely online except for the one hands-on component to it, and we hope to be able to do that on a national basis to allow people the opportunity to learn more about horses, specifically the thoroughbred racehorse, so that they can gain entry-level employment within the industry. Now, we also have developed a veterinary assistant certificate with Morehead State University, and that's been designed to help with their pre-vet tech program. So they have a 3-year associate's vet tech program, a year of that being required as pre-vet tech. We now offer a veterinary assistant certificate that has a direct articulation agreement with Morehead State so that people can come to BCTC, gain that vet assistant certificate and be employable, or actually take that education on to Morehead State for their vet tech program. Now, as it always has been, and it still is, our jockey and exercise rider component is a very big part of NARRA, and it's something that makes us very unique. We've been very fortunate to have Chris as our lead instructor in the riding program, and the success speaks for itself. To date, we have our students, our graduates of the jockey option with wins probably over 2,500 at this point. Our students have competed in international apprentice races around the world at Dubai and France, so they've been given these great opportunities to travel, and we actually just had an apprentice rider over in France for a race. And it was interesting to hear her perspective when she was sitting in the jockey's room and another apprentice rider said, "Why is it that you get to go and compete in this race? I'm a better rider than you are." And she looked at him and said, "Because I put in my time to go and become educated so that I could continue to build upon my career." So she was given this unique opportunity to go over and see France and be able to compete and have this wonderful education, but also have mentors from her academy that were able to come back and talk to her about her career. So as it always has been, our jockey and exercise rider option is flourishing. It's always developing and always growing. And we're excited at the fact that even though Chris is going to retire fully, he'll still be around to teach some, and I plan to drag him back for a few lectures as well. Now, our horseman option is definitely my focus area, and that's what I was brought on board to focus on. Our horseman option students are given kind of a plethora of options when they come in. They get to kind of experience every aspect of the industry. So we give them an opportunity to work sales right here at Keeneland. We've had very good respect from the local farms and bloodstock agents to give them those opportunities. We try to get them on the farms to work with the brood mares. We get them to the racetracks. The trainers have been very receptive to allow them the opportunity to mentor. So our horseman option students are graduates not only going into the racing, but also the breeding and sales industry. So we try to make sure that they're prepared for careers, whatever it might be in this industry, and we have students that are currently employed as racetrack foremen. We have them on the breeding farms working as foremen. We have some of them working in the bloodstock agencies, and we even have a few of them that are working in the vet clinics that have come out of the horseman option and seen that that's the route that they've wanted to go. So the Horseman Option was developed prior to my arrival in 2011, but we've really built upon it and tried to make it a standing point of NARRA and make sure that people are aware of its availability. It's a 2-year associate's degree program, so our students do come out of it employable. They do have an accredited degree, but we also encourage them to look into 4-year options with University of Kentucky, University of Louisville, and obviously University of Arizona. And that's where online education can be such a big component. As of right now, we have 2 facilities that we work out of, and one of those being the Thoroughbred Training Center. We're very lucky that we had a generous donation by Keeneland of office and classroom spaces, and our Jockey option is based out of there. We also have offices and classroom out of Locust Trace Agri-Science Farm, and that's a technical program of the Fayette County Public Schools. So we have the ability to work with some of the high school students and make them aware of the job opportunities in racing. A lot of the problem I see with our youth is that they're not aware of what opportunities are out there for them in this industry. So being based out at Locust Trace has given us an ability to communicate with that youth and let them know what their job options are. Now, a big part of why I was brought in today to talk was about online education. And online education is so important because, as we're well aware, this industry is very international. We have, everyone in from all over the world, and I think that's one thing that makes it very fascinating. But to date, there's over 2 million people that have access to the internet, and that allows us to tap into areas of the world that in the past maybe weren't available. It's been noted that over 1/3 of all U.S. college students, they take at least one online class. And typically, any failure of an online class is due to not having enough interaction with their instructors for those classes. So NARRA actually began an online initiative back in the fall of 2013. And this was brought on not only by our knowledge that online education was going to become a growing popular source for colleges, but also through the Dubai International Thoroughbred Internship that Darley sponsored. So that sponsorship allows 30 Chinese graduates the opportunity to be stationed at Darley locations all over the world, whether they were in Ireland, Dubai, the United States, Australia. And you can imagine it's pretty difficult to get all of them together at one point in time, whether you're sitting on Skype or trying to get an instructor in front of every one of them to give them a uniform source of education. So what we were able to do through our online courses is give them that uniform source of education and put it into an on-demand setting where they were able to access that at their own availability. That's what really incentivized us to understand that online education can be such a valuable resource, but it still has to allow for the interaction with the instructors. This past spring, we offered 4 classes to our own general population with BCTC. We had over 80 students enrolled in 4 of our online classes. It was a very popular move. We had a lot of students that were very intrigued by it. And one of the things that we saw through online education is that how can you make it interactive but make it available to people so that they can do it at their own time frame? That's the point of online education, is the accessibility to it. But it was a very popular choice. We saw great enrollment numbers with it, and we got a lot of positive feedback on how we can grow and develop with this. In the coming year, not only do we plan to offer our classes for credit, but we also look to offer non-credit courses for the general equine population. One of the things that online education enables us is instant accessibility. So we're able to go in and find any type of issues or resources that we see in the industry and be able to upload information at almost an instantaneous moment. That gives us the ability to educate people as we have problems arise, as we see things that come available. So right now we're looking into doing a few non-credit short courses to make available to people that not necessarily are looking to obtain a degree, but just want to learn more about the industry or learn more about the equine athlete. As you can see here, we've looked into a couple of options as far as our non-credit courses, and definitely medication is a big hot topic subject right now in the racing industry. So for us, that's something that we feel is a great non-credit short course, because as information becomes available through online learning, we can update that almost instantaneously. So our non-credit, our credit courses are available through the Bluegrass Community and Technical College, and we're happy to work with the Jockey Club now so that we can make this information available to the entire community. So one of the things that I wanted to do today was to be able to show you kind of what one of our online courses would look like. We had the opportunity working with DITI and being able to work with our online courses throughout the year to see what's working and what's not working. And I'm a horseman. I came from the track. I was a licensed trainer for 3 years. You know, I didn't come from an education background, but was very passionate about education and felt it was a very important aspect to our industry. So for me, when we're looking at these online components and our IT guys start talking in terms that I don't understand, and maybe they don't understand me when I'm talking equine, I wanted something that was very user-friendly, and not user-friendly to the IT guy, but user-friendly to the horseman, that we are able to access and understand and that we can utilize on our own system. So we've been able to develop these courses, and we still always are looking for ways of improvement, but as you can see here with this course, it's very interactive. We wanted to be able to develop something that would give you the ability to have a very interactive, it makes you accountable for what you're looking at. It makes sure that you are able to tap into it and that you're not able to just simply slide through it or walk away from your computer for 4 hours and come back and the whole video is done, but you said, yes, I completed this. It makes you accountable for the information put in front of you. So we were really excited to be able to do this, to be able to access this. But I know for me, as I look to continue my education, one of the things that is a big factor is the availability. As a licensed trainer, it was pretty rare that I had 4 hours in an afternoon that I could donate to go and sit in a classroom. But it certainly was something that I could do over a week period of time, that I could sit down, look at a computer, be able to access this information, and make it readily available. If we kind of start going through this course a little bit, you'll see that it's very well put together, that it explains for the general population of how to utilize this information and how you can start to use it for your own benefit. The thing that I really liked about this, like I said, was that it makes you accountable for the information put in front of you. Everything is very interactive, and it remembers where you're at as you go through the courses. So it's not something that you can't walk away from when it comes time to go deal with this horse or take this horse to the racetrack. You can actually move through this course at your own pace. But we were very excited at the fact that this allows for an on-demand setting rather than a week-by-week schedule where we know how busy everyone is, and obviously it's not something that person A and person B can donate the exact amount of time, but it makes it very interactive for you, very on-demand setting. The courses have been designed, and these are the courses that we'll be implementing in the fall semester, so we're really excited to see how our students react to it. We were able to put together a couple of those in the spring semester, just a couple lectures like this, and the feedback was very positive. The students really liked this type of information and being able to interact with the screen more so than just a simple PDF file uploaded or a simple PowerPoint uploaded. So as we look towards the future in education, I think accessibility is a big issue we see with our horsemen, that where it's difficult for them to be able to come in and donate that time towards education, and online education will give them the opportunity to do so. You know, as we expand at NARRA, once thought of as just a jockey school and certainly a big component of our program, we're now an equine industry workforce provider, and our goal is to help educate the industry as a whole, whether it's our youth coming in that we hope to be the future of our industry, or already our industry professionals that simply want to learn more. I was really excited to hear Mr. Contessa say that he was so interested in learning more about the field that he's already obviously an expert in. So it's always something that we can expand on, being in a dynamic industry where we can learn. So this is going to provide the opportunity for those people that, you know, don't have the time to come in and sit in on a lecture every day or sit in for a 4-hour short course, but they can use that time that they have to access this type of system and be able to educate themselves on the availability. So I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I'd like to thank all of you for giving us the opportunity to talk about NARRA and attending the Welfare and Safety Summit this year.
Thank you very much. That really is exciting. I want to stress that when we're using words like students, that doesn't mean that the level of information we're going to make available to Gary Contessa is the same as a young student.